Hello, this is Andrine, Jewish American Priestess, and I'm coming to you today with a reading of the Hebrunes, but we're looking at some tarot cards, and today we're going to look at the Fool card, and I'll tell you why. Because we are coming up on the first day of Adar, the month of Adar, in the Jewish calendar, which is also the first day of the season of Pisces. Yes, so the first day of Adar is happening right in conjunction with Mardi Gras this year. And Mardi Gras is a celebration that is, in these days, seen as a celebration of what happens right before Lent. Ash Wednesday is the first day of the 40 fasting days before Easter in the Catholic Church. So, but as you know, most of these holidays are based on very old traditions that came way before Christianity. In the month of Adar in Judaism, we have the Purim celebration, which is very similar, you'll note, to Mardi Gras, where people dress up in costumes and everybody can become a king or a queen, and people wear masks, etc. So the festival of Carnival, which is celebrated all over the world, is based on a much, much older festival that happened at this time of year. So we have the festivals of Saturnalia, which happened over the winter solstice, and then Lupercalia, which happens around the middle of the month of February. The month of February, the actual word Februar, comes from these strips of skin, of dog skin or wolf skin or goat skin, that were used to hit women as naked youths would run through the streets in order to bring about fertility. Very strange traditions. And we talk about in current day, people eat king cake during the celebration of Mardi Gras, which begins on 12th night in January, usually January 5th or so. And that 12th night is a celebration of the end of the Saturnalia festival. The Saturnalia festival was celebrated by something being baked into a cake, usually a bean or a coin, and whoever got to eat that piece of cake that had the coin or the bean in it were celebrated as a king for a period of time, for that period of Saturnalia, and they were hosted. It didn't matter what stratus of society they were in. They were given all the power to rule over whoever they wanted to. And then at the end of that time, they were sacrificed for fertility. That doesn't happen so much anymore. Nowadays, a king cake will have a little baby inside of it. It's said to come on Three Kings Day, which ties it back into the Christian tradition. And the baby is what, I guess, the baby Jesus? I don't know. But whatever, whoever gets the baby then has to buy the next king cake. It's much, much less serious than being sacrificed. Nonetheless, here we are in this season of Mardi Gras and of Purim coming up, and all of these weird, with Valentine's Day has been kind of co-opting the Lupercalia celebration. There's just a lot of history here about fertility because the spring is coming, and that's the idea. So what I have here today, I have 5 cards, 5 Fool cards from different decks. I'm going to turn them over and let you see them, and then we're going to choose a stone to go with each of the 5 cards. And then you will choose one of those cards, or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, depending on how many you want to see. And we'll do a short 3 Hebrew reading for each of these cards. And I'll put timestamps down below so that you can see which, and maybe I'll choose different Hebrew sets as well. I have at least 5 sitting here on my desk. So we'll see. So we'll just start by turning over the cards. Card number 1 comes from the Wildwood Tarot, and it is called the Wanderer. And you can see here goes this person traipsing off carefree toward, looks like they're walking upon a rainbow, just stepping off the precipice on which they are standing, heading off toward whoever knows what, into their future. And that's part of the the joy of the Fool card, is it's somebody who's just so carefree, just ready to step off into the abyss. It's the card number 0. So here they are. The Wanderer from the Wildwood Tarot is the first choice. The second choice is the Aquarian Tarot, and this is our Fool card. You can see he's got the signature white rose here and a staff. Usually the Fool steps off with a white rose and a staff as he heads off on his path. So that's card number 2, Aquarian Tarot with the Fool. Card number 3, we have the Fool from the Portland Tarot. And here is our Fool walking in the grass. She's got her white rose. She's got a staff with a bicycle helmet hanging from it for signature Portlanders, and our little white dog. And there's her bicycle back there in the corner. You can see Portland, Oregon, the white stag sign up above her head. So that's card number 3, the Portland Tarot Fool. Card number 4 is our traditional Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot with the Fool in his beautiful dress, staff over his shoulder with his purse hanging from it, the sun shining down upon him, the white rose in hand, his little white dog either saying, "Let's go," or "Look out," as he steps off into who knows where. I love his yellow boots. That's card number 4. And card number 5 is from the Botticelli Golden Tarot. And here is a painting of someone who looks quite troubled, in fact. He's got a little white dog as well, but he looks like he's perhaps maybe not as well as the other ones. He doesn't look as cheerful about his wandering off. And the dog is sniffing at his feet, almost as if he's not sure about him either. So that is it's interesting, it's the Fool, or El Loco, Il Matto, Le Fou. So we've got all the languages, Dernar and Dedois. So all the different languages of the Fool here on the Botticelli Golden Deck. So those are our 5 cards, and we're going to choose stones to go with each one of them. I'm going to start with the Wanderer. We're going to take the green Moss Agate bloodstone to go with the Wanderer. So that's the stone that goes with her. For Fool number 2, we're going to take the red Jasper stone. And that will go here. For Fool number 3, I think we're going to take the quartz crystal. And that will be for card number 3. For card number 4, I go straight for the tiger's eye. And that's what the stone looks like. To match his yellow boots. And for card number 5, I'm going to take the blue agate or apatite. I'm not sure which this is. And we'll set it here as well. It occurs to me I should have brought out the Fool's Gold. I'll just bring it out to keep us company here, since we have all the Fools on deck here. There's the Fool's Gold. We'll just set it up above to remind us of our foolishness and our hopefully happy, fun times here in the month of Adar coming up, and the Mardi Gras celebration carnival. So take a minute, choose which card you like. I'll put the timestamps down below. Again, these are just going left to right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll name the names of the decks as well. and then you click on your timestamp, and I will see you in your reading. Hello, those of you who chose the number 1 Wanderer card. This is what she looks like again. She, I believe it's a she, I don't know, is barefoot stepping off the path, the end of this path, onto a rainbow which crosses over the water. I can see waterfalls in the distance. I'm not sure if there's other things to see here. Beautiful belt, braided red hair, and the sun breaking through the trees there. So here is our wanderer setting off on their journey, tripping off the end of the earth onto the rainbow across the waters. And this is your stone again, this beautiful green moss agate with the red in it. Set that off to the side here. And then we're going to pull out 3 Hebrunes today, and I'm going to reach up for this set. I think this is a wooden set. Let's take a look. I'm going to pull out 3 today and lay them down. The first one coming out is the letter Bait. The second one is the letter Yud. And our third Hebrew for your new month of Adar, Mardi Gras, Carnival, Lupercalia reading is the Dalet. Okay. So the way we read these is that the first letter, the top letter, is the letter about what is going on for you right now, and it is the letter Beit. And Beit is said to represent a house or a home, the place where you dwell in the world. Beit is, it could be a physical home, it could be your house, or it could be metaphorical home, like, well, where do you live? Where does your soul live? It's in your body, and ideally in the world, in the universe itself. The letter Beit is the binary transformation of life and death. So it harkens back to even the Garden of Eden, where we're talking about choosing life, the tree of life, or having to leave the garden and end up dying. And as the wanderers, not having a whole lot of experience in the world, being the first humans, they chose to eat from the other tree, and so were driven from the garden. And that's so interesting, because the wanderer is one who is stepping off on a journey. They don't know where they're going. They're very innocent and young, and maybe optimistic in that they're heading off in some direction. So the Beit is symbolized by that choice that maybe you're making right now, whether you're going to choose life, choose to take care of your home, to take care of your body. It is the letter that also rules over the day of Shabbat in the week. So it can be about rest, getting adequate rest. So as you are about to set off on your journey, maybe it's a good time to take a nap first, before you head out into your raucous partying that one does at this time of year. That we have to take care of our bodies, to remember that the things that we put into our bodies will impact us in the future. It also corresponds to, or rules over, the planet Saturn in the sky. And the Saturn, is the beautiful planet with the rings. It actually reminds me of this rainbow, that kind of shape of a ring, striped ring going around. And to me, the the bait letter corresponds to the world in the tarot. So it's about, where do we dwell? Where do we live? We live in this place. It's about beginning and end and life and death. The letter bait also corresponds to the mouth in the body. So maybe something is happening right now where you have some communication that needs to happen. Maybe communication just with yourself to ensure that you make appropriate contracts with yourself about how you're going to take care of your body and your home. That you're not going to make silly, foolish choices in the world. But, you know, it's okay to get a little wild sometimes. So that's where we are right now. We're at bait, which is the home, the house, the body, and that transformation between life and death. And where do we sit on that decision between where we're sitting stagnant, perhaps, and where we're setting off into a new adventure? And where that's bringing us to is the challenge. And the challenge in that position is represented by the letter Yud in this reading. The letter Yud is the letter that, in my understanding of the correspondences with the tarot, represents the Fool card. So that's beautiful. It's because it's about a seed. It's about the beginning, open mind. Yud is the smallest of all the letters, so it is like a seed. It's also sort of like a sperm, and it has the potential for anything. So that's the same as the Fool card. That's the same as this wanderer who's setting off, not knowing where they're going, but being willing to plant that seed and make that move and take off. So the Yud is that one point. It's sort of the building blocks of the universe, all those atoms that make up everything that exists in the universe. It is also a hand, or yad is the word for hand. So it corresponds to that idea of the hand and what one can do with their hand, maybe action in the world. And it is the foundation of sexuality. So there is something about, again, planting a seed, maybe literally or metaphorically, as you come up with a new idea, some kind of creation is about to come into being. So there's some challenges around that. This is the position where there's a challenge or a fear. So I don't know what's going on for you right now. There's a lot of different things that could be up. But maybe we're a little concerned about the seed that we've planted and whether it's going to produce what we're hoping it will produce. That maybe there's a stagnation or a problem with our creativity right now, that we're not feeling that drive to jump out into the world, that maybe that we're a little bit scared as we set off on this journey, as we step off on the rainbow bridge off into the who knows what. So if you are concerned about that, take care of your body. Go back up to here and nurture your body and take care of yourself. Get some rest, perhaps, before you set off. As I said, Yud is the first letter of the divine name. So maybe you're not sure or haven't consulted with the divine about where we're going. So maybe this is a good time to do that if you're concerned about the journey ahead. Know that the first letter, very first, that building block and the seed of all is here for you, ready to help you off on your journey. And tune into that if you're having some fears or having some concerns about the journey itself. So there you have it. The good thing to know also is that Yud corresponds to the tribe of Gad, which means luck. So there is luck here, regardless of our concerns and fears. And that brings us to our third letter in the reading, which is what the outcome is given the current circumstances. And we have the letter Dalet. And Dalet is a doorway. It's about walking through to the next iteration. So there's some kind of transition coming up ahead that may have to do with moving from one world to the next, the same way as our Fool is stepping off into the rainbow and walking off toward the unknown. And Dalet is this liminal space, this doorway through which we have to pass, this portal or threshold. And it does have to do with humility or humbleness. Dal, it means poor. So it could be that you have to have a little bit of humility as you walk through that doorway. Maybe duck your head a little bit so you don't smack it on the lintel. So know that a doorway is coming, and there's a transition of some sort. And Dalit, beautifully, is the transition, the binary transformation of wisdom and foolishness. So the question is, are we wise? Are we fools? Where can we find wisdom in our foolishness? And where can we find folly in our wisdom, so that we can have a little fun as we set off on this journey? Again, taking care of our body, remembering that rest is important, being tapped into the divinity, and even if we're afraid of the seed, that the seed may not produce what we want it to produce, that we know that there's luck here underneath it all, and the divine is with us. And then we walk through that doorway and find out what's on the other side, because we can't know unless we go through, right? So that's our reading. I'm going to pull out one more of the oracle cards from the Sovereign Oracle Deck, just to get us one last piece of clarity, or some one word that will help us as we set off on this journey of the Fool. Let's see what one word wants to come up for today. Here it is. And we have undergrowth. Nice. More has been achieved than is visible to the eye. The real magic is under the surface of your assumptions. The situation is supported by invisible nourishment. Give thanks. So that's a lovely tribute here as we set off, that there is undergrowth, that we don't see everything that has been achieved already as we set off. And that real magic is there under our assumptions, under the fears that we have about the seeds we're planting, and that we know that there is this invisible nourishment that's happening to the seeds we plant, so they will grow and become what they need to be, whatever that is in the world that we cannot see yet. So for those of you who chose the Wanderer, the Fool from the Wildwood Tarot deck, this has been your reading. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a beautiful Mardi Gras if you celebrate Carnival, Purim, the month of Adar, whatever it is. I wish you well. Chodesh Tov, and we'll see you here next time. Hello. For those of you who chose the Aquarian Tarot Fool, here they are. They've got their rod over their shoulder. You can see it's blossoming up here, and the white rose, as is always mostly present in the Fool card. He's got a beautiful cloak. He's looking toward the future, heading off onto whatever adventures will await him on his journey. I love his red hat and golden feather on the top. And we have also the red jasper that I chose to match his cloak here today. And we'll set our Fool over to the side here. And we're going to pull out 3 Hebrunes today. And I'm going to choose for this particular reading, I'm just looking at the different choices I have. I'm going to take this set of Hebrunes from the myrtle wood set. So I'm going to pick out 3 and lay them down. We have the shin at the top. In the center we have olive. Nice. And on the bottom we have Vav. Okay. So this, for those of you who are setting off on a journey with this particular Fool, the top letter represents our current state of affairs. So we have Shin, and the Shin is the mother letter of fire. So it's about passion, and I love that with the red for the Fool here, that he's got so much fiery colors going on. The Shin, you can see it even looks like 3 flames of fire licking up from the bottom there. It is the word Aish, which means fire, sounds like Shin. Aish. They say that that the Shin is the letter that sizzles. And it also, so it's about spirit. You know, when we're thinking about the mother letters, we have the mother letter of air, the mother letter of water, and the mother letter of fire. And fire is the one that represents spirit. And it also has a lot of words that begin with Shin that are associated with it. Shuva, which means return. So something about being reborn, or being able to return once one has made some mistakes. It has to do with a tooth, which is shine, and the indwelling presence, known as Shekhinah, the feminine indwelling presence of the divine. So all of those are part of the meanings of Shin. It's associated with the sun and the moon and the stars in the sky, and the head in the body, passion indeed, and wholeness, shalom, as well as change, shini. And I like to think of it as affiliated with the ziz, which is a mythical bird like the phoenix that is said to transform through fire. And Shin rules over the summer in the year. So it's a really fiery time for you, whatever is going on. You've got some kind of passion that's coming up, perhaps some kind of maybe passions of thought, or even anger can be represented by Shin. Definitely creation through fire, and maybe cleansing through fire as well. But the sun and the moon and the stars, all that light, all that heat coming at you. I know that with the spring, we've got days that are longer coming, and that's going to help heat the land and bring growth as we move toward the summer and toward the spring equinox. So there's wholeness, there's this big changes coming, Shini, these changes that are transformations that are happening right now in our world in this time. And again, fire, just fire and returning, and that presence, that spirit inside of us lighting up. And I love that with the Fool, that the Fool's job is to set off on this journey with passion, to find their way, to discover what's out there, what's waiting for me. And so that's where we are right now on the journey, is with the letter Shin. And our middle letter, this position in the reading, is the position of what is the challenge or fear in our situation. And interesting, we have another mother letter, the first letter, the letter Aleph. So the letter Aleph is the mother letter of air. So we have got fire and air here, which is lovely. And it's about breath. It's about being able to breathe life into a situation. It's about the creation using air and wind. It is said that the divine creates with air, brings life into the human body, certainly by breathing into their nostrils. It's also the letter that is just the number 1. It's the first letter. So it's about the oneness of all things, the oneness of the divine. And because it's got this sort of transformation of unity and multiplicity. So there is one divine, but there are billions and trillions of facets of divinity in the world. It's got this idea of the heavens above and the earth below, and this connection and sort of division between heaven and earth. You can kind of see that it looks like a yud above and a little bit of a yud below, and that vav between that's connecting them. So there's this idea of connection with divinity and division with divinity, that we have like one body, but we have trillions of cells. We have one universe, but we have trillions of stars. So all these concepts that there's this oneness, but there's this this multiplicity as well. It's sort of this paradox that exists in the universe that comes with the olive. And we have all of this, and within it, this crossroads, sort of looks like a crossroads where we get to decide what direction are we going to go, toward heaven or toward earth, or finding some way to bring those two together. It is the chest and the lungs in the body, because it does correspond to air, and the spring or fall in the year, because it's those transitional times when the weather is mild between the cold, wet winter and the hot, hot summer. It is the letter that begins most of the divine names in Torah. So we have the word for God, El, and Elohim, Adonai, El Elyon. But it also begins the name for mud or earth and the first human, Adam, Adamah. So there is this connection, again, between humanity and divinity and the oneness of all things. And that's challenging for you right now, or coming up as a challenge. This idea that there is one direction that maybe you want to go as the Fool on your journey, but there's like a billion paths. You may have to make a different choice at every turn. So maybe there's a challenge about what it is, what direction you're actually going. Is there one path, or are there multiple paths, or is that the same? It's really impossible to know. And the Fool has his optimism and this endless, boundless hope that everything is going to be well as they tap into their passion and head off on the journey. I love that for you as you head off, and just standing in the breeze and feeling the air on your face as you set off on that journey. That there may be some fear around the setting off, and maybe some fear that you're stepping off into the air, as is in the traditional tarot card, that the Fool is just taking a leap off into nothingness. But you know that you're setting off with passion, and that's the important thing. And our outcome here, given the current circumstances, is the letter Vav, and Vav is a letter that means and. It's the connection piece. So as I said, it's got that, olive has that Vav right between it. And Vav literally means and in Hebrew. It is connection. It's also a tall spine or taproot, but it's got a slightly bowed head. It looks a little bit like the staff that the Fool is carrying as they set off. And so it's about unity with divinity. It's about finding connection with the one, finding connection with the divine, standing tall with a little humility, being appropriately humble, but also appropriately proud of oneself on their choices that they're making. Joining the heaven and the earth. And it is the number 6, so it's about that 6th day of creation, which means we're almost finished. We're almost finished preparing for our journey, or getting to that place where we feel like we've completed the task. It is the center letter in the divine name, which connects the first 2 letters and the last letter. So again, more connection piece, that spine that stands tall and reaches up with hope for divinity. And I just love that. I think that it's a beautiful idea that we're coming to connection through this, that we've got this passion to set out, maybe concern about how that's going to play out with our connection between the earth and the heavens, but knowing that in the end we'll have connection, that we'll feel connected, that we will be able to connect the pieces and tether ourselves to the earth as necessary, when necessary. So that's the reading for this. I'm going to pull out one final card that will give us a little bit of maybe one word that will help us clarify things. And so I'm just going to shuffle and see. This is the Sovereign Oracle Deck. Oh, there it is right there. It's sticking out already. Sovereign Oracle Deck, which gives us some guidance on this journey as we set forth the Fool on the way. And what card do we have? Incorporate. Weave in an unusual element. Bring all of your gifts together under one umbrella. Legitimize the endeavor. Incorporate. Okay, so for those of you who are setting off on this journey, it's asking you to make sure you weave in an unusual element and legitimize your endeavor. Make sure that that all of your gifts and tools are together in your bundle, maybe that's hanging over your shoulder. The Fool traditionally has a bag hanging from that staff, so that they're all ready to go. Everything is in the bag, all the tools together. And we have, like I said, the passion to move forward. We have our concerns about unity and multiplicity, but we'll bring those together into connection. And so for those of you who chose the Fool from the Aquarian Tarot, this has been your reading. I hope you found it useful and enjoyed it, and I hope you have a beautiful upcoming month of Adar, celebrating Mardi Gras or Carnival or Purim or whatever it is you choose to celebrate here on your path. And we'll see you here next time. Chodesh Tov. Okay, for those of you who chose card number 3, the Fool from the Portland Tarot, let's take another look at her. She's wearing a gorgeous green dress. Again, we have the white stag up with the Portland, Oregon sign, her white rose in her hand, her staff over her shoulder that looks like a tripod maybe, and her bicycle helmet, and her little white dog. She runs barefoot through the grass, heading off into adventures unknown. So we're going to set her over to the side here with her beautiful quartz crystal leading the way with her intuition. And I'm going to pull a set of Hebrunes. I think I'm going to go with this bag today for this particular reading. We're just going to take out 3, start from the top and bring our way down. So the top Hebrune I'm pulling out is the letter Hey. The central one is the letter Kuf. And the bottom Hebrune is the letter Nun. Interesting. Okay, set those aside. So the way I read these is the top letter is the letter of the current situation, what's happening now. And we have the letter Hey. The letter Hey itself is the first letter of the word Hineni, which means here I am, being present and available for service. And that's perfect for the Fool, because they're just ready to step off into whatever adventure, being present, being available. We're just going to go. This is wonderful. Here I am. And it is affiliated with the sense of sight. So being able to see your way forward, just, although the Fool tends to be looking up and not really at their path, they're looking up. They're looking up at the divine. They're looking up toward the heavens to find their way, just trusting that wherever they set off, that's where they're meant to be. And that's beautiful for our current reading here, the letter Hey. It's about availability for service. It's about the sense of sight. The word light appears 5 times in the story of creation, so it's affiliated with light as well. So that brightness, that radiance that comes with a new adventure, a brand new adventure. I love that. And our second letter is perhaps what's our challenge in the situation? And we have the letter Kuf, and that's perfect because our letter Kuf is the letter that corresponds to the month of Adar. Here we are right now in this, moving into this time. And Kuf is sometimes affiliated with Adar because it's the first letter of the word Kof, which means monkey, and monkey business. Here we are, being foolish, being fools, being masking up and pretending to be things that we aren't, or allowing our animal nature to run wild during the celebrations that happen at this time of year, whatever foolishness we have going on. And so Kof, that idea of monkey, is really available here. Kuf is also the first letter of the word kadosh, which means holy or sacred. And I love that as well, that we have this double meaning between what is sacred and what is monkey business. And so that's the challenge here. It also corresponds to the tribe of Naphtali, which means my struggle. So we have the struggle that's going on between what we might consider sacred or holy and what is just foolery and fun and good times. So the challenge is to balance those two. How do we balance being both enjoying our foolishness, being frivolous if we desire at this time of the celebration in the midst of the winter, and how do we make that into a sacredness? Can we be the sacred fool in a situation? Can we learn how to use our humor to expose those who are perhaps being oppressive? So I love that right now for the challenge, because we have this idea of foolishness and monkey business, as well as the sacred task of being the sacred fool in a situation. Someone who's able to put on that jester's cap and mock the king, and yet, be serious about it on some level. There's so much truth that is told in humor and in jest. So that's our challenge right now. How do we balance those two? And our outcome, given the current circumstances, is the letter Nun. And the letter Nun is the letter that means humble. It also means, which is Ne'aman, and it also means miracle, which is Nes. So here we have this outcome that is a humble miracle of some sort, that we have this ability to be loyal and faithful, that we've been called to service with Hineni here, and we've gone through this period of struggle between holiness and monkey business, and now we've come to a place of humility, of sovereign humility, let's just say, some kind of loyalty, that we are deciding now that we can rest, perhaps, after our foolishness. That's frequently the case. I know that this whole thing about Mardi Gras is celebrate and celebrate and celebrate, and then kind of chill out and calm down so that we can take things a little bit more seriously. Sometimes it's important to let loose in order to find our place. And there's my chime telling us, yes, that is an exclamation point on that thought. This idea of getting it out of our system, maybe enjoying things for the moment, and then, getting down to business and being a little bit more serious. And so that's our outcome. It's also the foundation of locomotion, so steady progress forward. So after we've said yes to our call to service, and we've moved through our period of joy and fun, and then we've come to a place of locomotion, steady movement forward now, instead of just all that foolery and monkey business. And I'm going to pull out one more card from our Sovereign Oracle deck today, just as one more, just a word to give us some clarity on this. So let me just give it a little shuffle and see what we got coming up. What? Oh, I see one flipped right there. That must be it. Oh, wonderful. It's the card of sensuality. This is really lovely for the time that we're in right now with Carnival. Is like, how do we touch into our bodies? Sensuality. Try a tactile approach. Cultivate the tingle. Follow suppleness and attraction. Honor the Kundalini energy underlying the work, and release any shame in feeling the thrill. Perfect advice for Lupercalia, for Saturnalia, for Mardi Gras, for Purim as well. tap into your sensuality and really feel that in your body. So for those of you who chose our card number 3, the Portland Tarot Fool, and the crystal, clear quartz crystal, this has been your reading. Remember to show up and be present for yourself. Remember to have a good time, as well as seeing the sacredness in that. And when you get done, move forward with steady progress and a little bit more humility, and find your miracle there. So for those of you who chose that, I hope you enjoyed your reading. I will see you next time. Have a beautiful new moon, Chodesh Tov, and we'll see you next time. Hello, those of you who chose the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith Fool for today. I'm going to just bring him up here and take a look at him again. He's got the sun, the white sun shining up in the corner. The number 0, which represents his beginning seed card number. There he is in his beautiful, beautiful clothing, his purse strapped to his rod, and a white rose in his hand, ready to step off the precipice with his little white dog here. So that is our traditional fool, and we also have the tiger's eye here representing that gold in color. And we'll also bring out the pyrite for our fool's gold to go with our fool for today. So we'll set both of these stones over here to keep him company on his journey. We're going to pull out 3 Hebrunes today, and I'm going to use the upcycled tile with the gold leaf today to go with our golden colors here. We're going to just pull out 3 and see what comes up for this fool. And we have the Kaf to start. Our central letter is the letter Mem, and our final outcome letter today is the letter Pe. Nice. Okay, so we're starting off with the top letter is the letter that represents our current situation as we see it, and we have the letter Kaf, and the letter Kaf is the letter that represents the palm of the hand or the sole of the foot. It's looking like this. I'll pick it up and show you here. So it looks like this. It's a hand reaching out, or either extending to receive something or to give something. And it also is the first letter of the word koach, which means power. So there's something about your power, the power that is being wielded over you. It's also the binary foundation or transformation of wealth and poverty. So, I mean, we have the Fool here. He looks kind of opulent. He looks like he's got some means by the way he's dressed and the fact that he's got a purse there. And so he's maybe heading off with his wealth and being willing to accept poverty should it come to him, as just setting off without any destination at all, and on his own power, like taking his own life into his hands here and his own direction into things. And he wears a hat. He's not a royal, but the letter Kaf also begins the word keter, which means crown. So it can have to do with sovereignty as well, being sovereign in your own ability to choose. And so the Fool, setting off on his own, is taking his own sovereignty into his hands. It's about giving and receiving, and extending the hand and covering the top of the head. So another word that begins with it is kippah, which is known as a little tiny hat. But there's also just kaper, which means to cover. It's like the covering over the Ark of the Covenant is the kapera. So we have this idea of something covering over. And it does rule over the sun in the sky. I love that Kaf rules over the sun in the sky. And we have the sun right up here in the corner, blazing down on the Fool. But it can be a little oppressive at times too, so it's important to wear your kippah. It's so important to wear your hat. So it's something, but so it also can be seen as like the hands of the divine, or the wings of Shekhinah, who is protecting this Fool as he sets off on his journey. So we have that. That's what's going on right now. This idea of power and one's own sovereignty and agency to set off to their journey, and extending one's hand when it should be extended to give, and also when it should be extended to receive, that binary transformation of wealth and poverty. So, and being protected, being protected by divinity when we foolishly perhaps set off on a journey, or we set off without knowing everything we need. But we are protected by that palm of the hand. And our central letter is the letter that will be representing what's our challenge on this journey. And we have the letter Mem. The letter Mem is the mother letter of water. And so Mem can have to do with transitions, transformation, cleansing. A mikvah begins with Mem. But it also can be affiliated with the wet season, the winter in the year. So maybe there's a concern about whether we'll be warm enough on our journey. Will we be too cold? Will we get wet? Do we not have a raincoat? It's hard to imagine him stuffing a raincoat into that little bag there, but perhaps there'll be some kind of transformation, and that's of concern. The Mem is the number 40 in Gematria, which corresponds to the many 40s. There's the 40 years in the wilderness. So as the Fool sets off on his journey, will he be wandering for 40 years? The 40 days of rain in the story of the flood in Noah, and 40 days on Sinai as the Fool climbs the mountain to discover what revelation will come to him. So the Mem and its 40ness means all of that, as well as the 40 weeks of gestation. The Mem can be seen as a womb, a container that is that belly in the body, and the waters of life, the Mayim Chaim, represented by the ocean and by the amniotic fluid from which we are all born in some way. And because it's about water, it often has to do with feelings, watery feelings. The feelings that come up, maybe both love and grief, all those different thoughts. And so we have this, we have this fear, this concern about whether we'll stay warm and dry, whether we'll have what we need, whether what we're gestating will come to fruition along the way. Will we have the revelation that we're hoping to have as we set off on our journey? Maybe there's some concerns there, some fears. And if they are, you can rest assured that you have this sheltering, that you are empowered, and that the divine is covering over and protecting you. And this, as the sun, the source in the sky, is shining down upon you with joy. And the final letter in our reading is the letter that represents the outcome or potential outcome for whatever is happening. And we have, in this case, the letter Pe. And Pe is said to be a mouth. It is the divine mouth speaking creation into existence. So it's about communication. It's about creation as well, because, again, the divine speaks and things come into existence. You can see it looks like a spiral that is infinitely spiraling in and infinitely spiraling out. So this idea of the Fibonacci sequence where all things are fractals, and because Pe is the number 80 in Gematria, it does speak to infinity, 8 being the number that looks like an infinity symbol on its side, and 10 times that being an ultimate manifestation of that infinite. It does rule over time. The word Pa'am begins with Pe. And it is the binary transformation of grace and ugliness. So where do we land on that continuum where we can see whether we consider beauty in the world or whether we're only seeing the ugliness in the world. And we have the power there to decide what we see. We have the power to decide whether something's beautiful or ugly. We have that subjectivity, but we also have the ability to see beauty where others only see ugliness. And the wonderful thing about the Fool is the open-mindedness, that ability to just look at a thing and say, that is amazing, that is gorgeous. And I love that about the Fool, and I love that about the Pay as well. It is the ability, as I said, the divine creates through speech. So we also have been given that gift, that we can create our reality by speaking into existence what we'd like to see in the world. So because the Fool is so optimistic and so willing and able to walk out into the world, we also have that ability to say, this is going to be great. I'm going to have a wonderful time. This is what I'd love to see on my journey. And then make that happen by just speaking it into being. And being sure to speak with blessing and not with cursing. Be able to speak with beauty and not with ugliness. Use one's words to create the reality we want to see in the world. And I love that here. The Pei also is the first letter of the word face, panay. You've probably heard it in the Yiddish. It's punam. It's being able to face something, or shining your face up toward the sun and letting the sun shine down on you, facing those things we need to face and seeing beauty with our face and in the faces of others. So that's our outcome here. And so, yeah, as we begin with power, work through the time of fear or concern about gestation, about the wandering in the wilderness, about just being warm and dry enough. Then we come to this idea of beauty and communication and being able to manifest what we want to see in the world by speaking it into existence. And I'm going to pull out one more card from the Sovereign Oracle Deck today that will hopefully give us one more piece of clarity about our reading about the Fool, but as we set off on our journey toward celebration at this time of year where people are out partying and having a wonderful, foolish time. I see that's the card sticking out. I'm going to take that one. And let's see what the message is today. Initiate. Perfect. It says, just get started. A beginning only takes a moment. Assign yourself the title now. Choose to align with the joyful discovery that awaits you on the journey ahead. Beautiful. Perfect for the Fool. I love it. Not only is it initiate in the form of a verb to say it's time to start, head off on the journey, but initiate is one who is just beginning, and that's the perfect description of the Fool. And you on your journey as you head off into your world this month, the month of Adar. I hope you have a wonderful Purim. I hope you have a wonderful Mardi Gras and or Carnival or Lupercalia if you celebrate, and have a beautiful month. And if you enjoyed this reading, please like and subscribe. And I will look forward to seeing you here next time. Chodesh Tov. Hello, for those of you who chose the Botticelli Golden Tarot and the Fool that looks a little bit disturbed here. Let's take a look at him a little closer. I love the gold on these cards. Yeah, he looks a little bit uncomfortable, as if he's a little bit maybe being chased by his own demons. So this Fool is maybe having a mental health crisis, let's say, and that's of concern. It's totally valid, and we need to take care of ourselves in those situations. So that's our number 5 card, and we have also this beautiful blue, I think it's an apatite, and I chose it to match his robes here. Set it up here. Looks like he's carrying that on his back. Okay, so we're going to pick a set of runes today, Hebrunes, and I'm going to go with these ones. I don't know which ones these are in this little bag. And we're going to pull out 3 today and see what's up for you in the upcoming month of Adar, the Pisces season, the Mardi Gras season, the Purim season. So our top letter coming out of the bag is the letter Resh. Our central letter is the letter, it's the blank. And our bottom letter is the letter Dalet. Okay. So the top letter position is that which is currently our state. What's the current state of our affairs? And we have the letter Resh, and Resh means head. It's the first letter of the word Rosh, which means head, and it's for Rosh Chodesh, which is, we've got the new month coming up, Rosh Hashanah, which means new year, and just Rosh, which just means head. So it's about a new beginning. The word Bereshit has the Resh right inside of it. It means in the beginning, the first word of Torah, Bereshit. So we've got some kind of new beginning, which is, again, perfect for the Fool, because the Fool is about to set off on an adventure, an unknown adventure. We don't know what's going to happen, what's going to come. And so he's setting off. Maybe this one looks a little bit afraid. And Resh is the foundation of seed and barrenness. So it's about planting seeds, but not knowing what's going to come of them yet. So that's where we are right now. We're about to plant some seeds, maybe literally in our garden, or maybe figuratively in our world. And we just don't know what's going to happen. There's just this new beginning coming. It's associated with intellect because it is the head. But in this case, with this particular card, I'm going to say it's associated with mental distress or maybe mental illness, because he looks so alarmed by his situation. So we've got something coming up, something new, some kind of something going on in our head, maybe a little bit of the winter isolation or what do you call it, stir crazy, being stuck inside for too long. And it does have this bowed head. It's interesting. It looks very similar to him. He's bowing his head as well. So he's bent over in some sort of humility. So it can have something to do with humility. It means, Rosh means poor one. So somebody who is maybe bent over, and Rocha means wickedness. So maybe there's something evil afoot here. It does correspond to the planet Mercury in the sky, or it rules over that planet. So communication may be a factor in the situation of distress of our Fool here today. He's not getting communication, or maybe he's getting communications from voices that are disturbing him. Whatever the case, something is up that's new, a beginning, something's happening in the head, or some kind of communication is going on. Maybe something a little bit disturbing or humiliating or humbling or even wicked or evil. And that's our current situation. What's the center letter that we're dealing with is the letter that represents what is our struggle here. And the struggle is this blank, right? We don't know, this blankness, the Ein Sof. Ein Sof means that without end, or the unknown. So it means that this unending, some kind of void, the blank screen, the tohu vavohu, that which existed before creation, timelessness, primordial chaos, the deep, tahom, and boundlessness. So there's this, with the zero, with the Fool setting off, there's this unknown that is so profound that it's terrifying in this case for this poor little guy. He looks very frightened. So something about that unknown, the infinite, the infinity of the situation is troubling. This is the position of the challenge. So it's challenging to not know what's going to happen, to just be in the state of suspension of the unknown. So that's what's going on in terms of the the challenge in our situation, and our outcome, or what may be the outcome given the current circumstances, is the Dalit. And the Dalit is a doorway. It's a way through. It is about humility as well, but it's a gate. It's a transition. So there's this binary foundation of wisdom and foolishness, and that's perfect again for the fool. But we have to find our wisdom within our foolishness, and maybe our foolishness within our wisdom as well. But there's a threshold, something that's happening, some kind of doorway that we're about to head into. Maybe it's just the new month or the new season. But whatever it is, there's something happening, some kind of transition, some kind of liminal space that we're heading toward that is really important. And that is going to be really, it's going to be the thing that gives you peace, I believe. Because Dalit does represent the number 4 of the 4 seasons, the 4 directions, the 4 elements, the 4 letters of the divine name. So we have this certain stability and sureness of a square, of a 4-sided thing, something that will give us some sort of stability coming as we pass through that doorway into the next thing, the portal that will bring us to the other side of the situation. So that's our outcome for now. And I'm going to pull out one more card from our Sovereign Oracle deck, just to give us one word that will help us to see clearly what we need to keep in mind as we head forward and through the unknown toward that doorway that we're heading into. Let's see if I can get one card. There's one. Magic. Perfect. Okay. So this is the situation. Magic. Invite spirit's intervention. Pay attention to synchronicity. Invoke your will and your willingness. Magic. So magic is the thing that's going to pull us through this situation. That even though maybe our heads are spinning, maybe we've got some distress going on in our minds, and we're going into this blank space, we can call on our spirit's intervention. Pay attention to synchronicities and invoke our will and willingness. And when we do that, we'll pass through this doorway magically into the next iteration, and we will find ourselves in peace again. So for those of you who chose the Botticelli Fool and the blue stone today, this has been your reading. I hope it has been useful for you and that you find a beautiful, beautiful new month of Adar. Have a wonderful time during Mardi Gras if you celebrate Carnival, or Lupercalia if you celebrate, and Purim when we get there. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked, please do like and subscribe, and we will see you here next time. Chodesh Tov.